My adoptive brother's favorite son once humiliated me in front of our whole class, swearing I'd never be family. Fast forward a few years, and now he wants me to babysit his overly attached baby. I said no. And just like that, I'm suddenly part of the family again. So, I'm a 21-year-old woman, and I was adopted when I was 16. The people who took me in were my half-brother and his wife, both in their late 30s at the time. They already had 6 kids of their own when they adopted me, but honestly, it never felt awkward. From the moment they brought me into their home, they treated me like I was one of their own. Their kids welcomed me the same way. Well, all of them did, except for one. Their so-called golden child. He's just 4 months older than me, and for the sake of the story, let's call him Bryce. Now, Bryce has always been difficult, to say the least. He didn't just have a problem with me, he treated everyone like garbage. He'd get into physical fights with our older sister, say awful, hurtful stuff to pretty much everyone, and somehow never faced any consequences. On top of that, the guy had some serious anger issues. I'm talking about busted-up doors, random holes in the walls, just constant chaos. While my sister and I were told no to just about everything, Bryce was handed a car for free, allowed to stay out all night, and basically had no rules to follow. Back in high school, we went to the same school, and one day, right there in front of the entire class, he stood up and said I wasn't his sister and never would be. Then, just to twist the knife a little deeper, he turned to me and told me, in front of all his friends, that I'd never be part of his family, and I should just accept it. Then he walked off like it meant nothing. And it didn't just happen once. He kept pulling stunts like that until he finally moved out. After that, I just cut contact and stopped acknowledging him. Naturally, Bryce found a new way to soak up attention. He got married fresh out of high school, moved in with his wife's family, and had a baby, the first grandchild in the family. Ever since that baby was born, I've been keeping my distance from Bryce. The only times I've seen him were during those annual family photos, and even then, it was only because our mom, my half-brother's wife, would ask me to show up for the picture. Recently, though, she started questioning why I was being so distant, so I finally told her the truth. I laid out everything Bryce said and did to me over the years. Her response? He's still my son, and that's my first grandbaby. That was her whole excuse for brushing it off. Honestly, I wasn't surprised. I didn't expect her to suddenly see my side or hold him accountable. Then out of nowhere, I got a desperate message from someone in the family, begging me to come help babysit Bryce's kid. Apparently, no one else can handle this kind of baby, and they're in a bind. Turns out the baby's being weaned off breastfeeding and has turned into a stage 5 clinger. And since Bryce's wife is a full-on germaphobe, the poor kid has barely been held by anyone outside a tiny circle, maybe 6 people total since birth. They also know I don't sleep much, insomnia and ADHD have been my forever companions. Plus, for some reason, I've always had this strange patience with babies crying. It just doesn't get to me like it does with most people. I can sit there for hours while a baby screams and somehow stay calm. Not sure if that's a gift or a curse at this point. My sister found out and got mad at me. Not because I refused, but because apparently I'm the only one they've even asked. Everyone else in the family is dying to meet the baby, but nope, they only reached out to me. So I started wondering, am I the bad guy here for not wanting to help take care of a baby whose father went out of his way to disown me? Update, 1 day later. I've read through a bunch of the comments and honestly, I feel a lot better. It's comforting to know I'm not crazy for feeling this way. But I do have an update, and I have a feeling not everyone's going to love it. After I posted, I talked to 2 friends from high school. They were there back when Bryce humiliated me in front of our classmates. One of them even used to come over every week when I still lived with my adoptive family, so she knows exactly what I went through. We talked for a while, and after hashing things out, we came to a kind of agreement. I'd go babysit, just this once. Give it a shot. Try to mend the situation a little. And if it didn't go well, I could say I at least made the effort, then finally walk away with a clean conscience. So I went. I showed up at Bryce's place around 9 p.m. His wife opened the door and looked absolutely exhausted. That kind of tired where you don't even have to ask. You just know she's been in the trenches with a 1-year-old all day. She was thrilled I'd come. Kept thanking me and going on about how excited she was to get a night out with Bryce. I mostly just listened while she talked. Eventually, she got around to explaining the baby's schedule, feedings, sleep routine, all that. The baby, we'll call him Caleb, apparently had been struggling with long crying fits at night and wouldn't fall asleep until mid-morning. That part made me hesitate a little, but hey, all babies have weird sleep patterns, right? She told me they'd only be gone for about 4 hours and would be back by 11:30 or 2 a.m. at the latest. Right after that, Bryce came out of the bedroom, said a few words to his wife, glanced over at me, gave a half-hearted wave and nod, and then headed out without saying much. His wife followed, telling me to call or text if anything came up. I just kind of stood there for a second, processing how surreal this all felt. Then I went to check on Caleb. It was strange seeing him in real life for the first time. I'd only ever seen his pictures hanging on the walls at our parents' house. But in person, he was adorable. Sweet little face. Big curious eyes. He did just fine the whole evening. He only cried when he realized no one was in the room, not because of the weaning or anything else. By around 10:30, I started checking the clock more often. Midnight came and went. At 12:30, I thought about sending a message, but decided to wait a bit longer. Finally, at 2 a.m., I texted both of them, asking where they were. No response. They didn't walk through the door until 3 a.m. At that point, I was beyond irritated. Not because I'd been stuck with Caleb longer than expected, but because they never replied to my message. Like, what if something had happened? What if it had been an emergency? When they finally walked in, I texted asking where y'all were. No one answered. Bryce's wife said something like, "Oh, Bryce said it'd be fine, just another hour." I just brushed it off and said, "Whatever. Caleb's asleep." She looked at me kind of confused, and I rolled my eyes and added, "By the way, it's not the weaning keeping him up at night. He's just lonely. He needs to know someone's nearby. If you stay in the room when he starts crying, he'll fall right back asleep." I grabbed my things and headed for the door, but right as I passed Bryce, I paused. I turned around and asked, "So, you're seriously not going to say anything? I just spent nearly 7 hours watching your kid." He actually snorted at me and said, "No, my wife's the one who talked me into this, anyway." At that point, I was already fuming. I shot back, "So this wasn't, I don't know, maybe your way of saying sorry? For high school? Or for constantly pushing me out of the family like I didn't exist? Because I kind of thought asking me to watch your kid meant you were trying to fix things. That maybe, finally, you were ready to grow up and own it." He just looked at me for a second, then said, "Why should I apologize? Nothing's changed since high school." And then came the part that really hit me in the gut. He added, "You seriously need to grow up and realize that me and my wife aren't going to baby you like mom and dad did just because you're adopted. You're not our family. You never were." I didn't say another word. I walked straight to my car and left. Once I got home, I sent my mom a long message, telling her everything that had just happened. I figured she'd see it in the morning, but nope, she was already up. Apparently, she had talked to Bryce's wife about the conversation she and I had had earlier about all the things Bryce said and did to me back in school. Bryce's wife had no idea how bad it had been. She was actually upset when she found out. Turns out she has an adopted sister too, so hearing what Bryce did really got to her. My mom didn't even know Bryce had asked me to babysit until that night. When she heard the full story, she was shocked. She ended up talking more with his wife, who said she honestly thought Bryce had grown up and changed. Clearly, he hasn't. I told my mom straight up, "I'm done. I'm out. If something ever happens to Caleb and he really needs help, I'll be there for the kid. But as for Bryce and his mess, I want nothing to do with it." Truth is, I'm reaching the point where I might have to walk away from this whole family. It's just not worth the emotional toll anymore. Second update, 1 month later. It's been a few weeks since that blow up with Bryce, and surprisingly, things have been quiet. My mom and sister haven't been blowing up my phone as much, which is refreshing. That first day or two after it all went down, absolute chaos. My phone was ringing nonstop, texts, calls, voice messages. My mom kept trying to explain Bryce's behavior away, saying things like, "He's just under stress." My sister, on the other hand, was more blunt. She told me to get over it. I finally told them both, clearly and calmly, I'm done. I'm cutting myself off from Bryce and his little bubble. I don't want contact. Don't bring him up. Don't involve me. Of course, that stirred the pot for a minute, angry texts, passive-aggressive guilt trips. But eventually, the storm died down. Mom stopped messaging. My sister did too. And for a while, it felt like peace. Until a week later, out of nowhere, my sister showed up at my apartment, completely unannounced. She stood there acting like I should be grateful for the honor of babysitting Bryce's poor, isolated child. Like I'd been granted some sacred family privilege. I nearly lost it. I wanted to scream, to call her a bitter little B-word and slam the door in her face. But I didn't. Instead, I stood in the doorway and told her, flat out, if you're so desperate to spend time with the baby, then go do it yourself. It's not my responsibility. Then I shut the door and watched her walk away. Things went dead quiet again after that. Total silence, until earlier this week. I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw a post from my oldest brother, the one I actually get along with, and his girlfriend of 4 years. They'd gotten engaged. The post had gone up the week before. I hadn't heard a word. Not from my brother. Not from my mom. No one. I messaged his fiancée to congratulate her and casually asked about the proposal. She was surprised I didn't know already because apparently my mom told everyone in the family about it, except me. She mentioned there was going to be a family meeting at my parents' house to start planning the wedding. I said sure, I'd come. So I showed up that evening. The moment I walked in, I noticed things had changed around the house. The living room walls, once lined with photos of all the kids, including me, had been updated. There were shiny new frames everywhere, and I quickly realized most of the photos of me were gone. Replaced. Where there used to be 6 or 7 small photos of me, now there were only 2. One baby picture and my high school senior portrait. Both tucked away in the hallway. Not even in the main room anymore. I didn't say anything, just swallowed it and sat down. Everyone arrived for the meeting. Everyone except Bryce, of course. My mom said he wanted to stay home with the baby. We started talking wedding details, roles, participants, all that. I sat quietly listening, trying to follow along with what my brother's fiancé was saying. And then I realized something that made my stomach drop. My name wasn't mentioned once. Not as a bridesmaid. Not for a reading. Not even as someone to help with planning or setup. Nothing. I started wondering why I was even there. Why even invite me to this planning meeting if I was just going to be a seat filler? Later that night, I texted my brother's fiancé, asking why I hadn't been included in anything. That's when she told me the truth. My mother had told her that I wouldn't want to be involved. That I wasn't the type for wedding stuff. That I wasn't girly enough to enjoy it. She actually described me as unfeminine. Said I wouldn't be into bridesmaid duties because that's not her thing. And then came the part that really hit. Apparently, because of the drama with Bryce, my mom said I shouldn't sit at the family table. I should be seated with the guests. Just a regular guest at my own brother's wedding. I didn't respond to that message. I didn't know how to. It hurt. It hurt that my mom would reduce me like that. That she'd paint me as someone cold, distant, not feminine enough, not family enough. Just because I don't do makeup tutorials or obsess over floral arrangements doesn't mean I don't care. Doesn't mean I wouldn't have loved being part of something so important. Right now, I don't even know if I want to go. The wedding's not until the end of the year, but honestly, I don't know if I can sit there, at some table in the back, pretending like I'm not crushed. It might sound petty, but when it's your own family treating you like a placeholder, it's hard not to take it personally. It's hard to put into words how much it stings to feel like I'm being pushed out again, almost definitely because of Bryce. And right now, as I type this, my sister keeps texting me about how excited she is to help plan all the bridal stuff. Honestly, I don't even know how to feel anymore. It's like my brain can't even process it. I'll probably post another update in the next day or so, whenever I can figure out how to put my thoughts together. Edit. I don't even know what to say. I wasn't planning to update this soon, but I just heard from my older brother's fiancé. Bryce's wife is pregnant again. Third update, 3 months later. It's been a while since my last update. I'd love to say that things have gotten significantly better, but I'd be stretching the truth. If I'm being real, things have only improved a little since then. I ended up moving even farther away from my parents, hoping to start that long overdue process of cutting them out of my life. In some ways, it's helped. In others, not so much. My mom still manages to barge her way back into my world, sometimes even showing up at my place with barely any warning. As for the wedding, there's been no further news. I got an invitation in the mail, nothing more, nothing less. I've decided I'll go to the ceremony, but I'm not staying after. I don't need to linger where I'm clearly not welcome. The whole situation with Bryce, well, it's just gotten weirder. They posted in our family group chat that they weren't doing a gender reveal or baby shower, just a quick announcement that they're having a girl. And here's the kicker. Bryce's wife apparently didn't even want to find out the baby's gender yet. She said he randomly made her get up and go to some fancy private ultrasound clinic, the kind where they do super detailed 3D scans and give you high-end pictures of the fetus. She acted like it was a whole ordeal. Then, right after that, Bryce dropped another bomb. He's going to college now, and asked for a $1,000 loan. And just like that, my parents gave it to him. Now, you've got to understand, my parents always said they wouldn't loan money to any of their kids. They were firm on that. But the second Bryce asked, they practically shoved it into his hands. Meanwhile, when I was in college, they wouldn't even spot me $20 for textbooks. They refused to help me at all, emotionally, financially, nothing. I muted the group chat. And then I found out something that really shook me. Back in high school, I came out as bisexual, with a strong preference for women. My mom didn't handle it well. Her response? She told me about her lesbian cousin, and then launched into this weird, homophobic story about how a friend once dragged her to a gay bar in college, and a woman hit on her. It was obvious she was uncomfortable with my identity, she just masked it under fake tolerance. My brother? He decided my attraction to women must be some kind of trauma response, a leftover scar from the abuse I suffered from our biological father. That shattered me. It made me feel like even the people closest to me wouldn't, or couldn't, truly accept me. I promised myself then that I would never tell them if I was in a relationship with a woman. I didn't want to open up just to be hurt again, or to drag someone I love into that mess. But now, I think my sister may have outed me. I noticed she'd liked a picture on my girlfriend's Instagram. It was one of the few where we're actually visible together. My girlfriend has always been careful. She never tags me, never posts anything too revealing, because she knows how complicated my family is. The only way my sister would have found that picture is if she went snooping through my friends list. Not even a week after that, I had to see my sister in person. Out of nowhere, she started making these strange comments about my dating life, like, "Are you seeing anyone?" with this knowing look in her eyes. I just said, maybe, and left it at that. 2 days later, my mom showed up at my door, holding a container of store-bought cookies like that somehow made this okay. She smiled and asked if there was anything I wanted to tell her. I brushed her off. She left, and hasn't brought it up since. But just a few hours later, I got a text from my little brother, asking if I'd told Mom about me dating. He said she was freaking out, and that his dad told her my dating a woman was just a trauma response. No, I haven't told anyone. So clearly, someone else did. And now they're not just judging me, they're dissecting me, dismissing my love, my identity, as something broken and shameful. Like it's a glitch they need to fix. I've been trying so hard to distance myself from them, to heal. And now it feels like they're dragging me back into their drama, inch by inch. My girlfriend's been my rock through all this. When I told her what happened, she didn't panic or get upset. She just said, "We'll get through this together." She's even more careful now about what she posts and makes sure I feel safe in our space. I honestly don't know what I'd do without her right now. This update doesn't have some dramatic twist or happy ending. But it's something. It's where I'm at. Life isn't magically better. It's improving, sure, but slowly. Painfully. One step at a time. Some days it feels like I'm standing still. But I'm grateful for every single person who's been reading, commenting, and supporting me through this whole thing. You've all helped me realize how wrong my family's treatment has been, and how I'm allowed to feel the way I feel. That I don't have to keep justifying my boundaries. I'm hoping to update again after the wedding in a few months. Fourth update, 11 months, 2 weeks later. Wow. I can't believe it's been over a year since I last shared anything here. Time just got away from me. Life happened. Things got busy. A friend recently messaged me and told me that apparently my posts have made it to TikTok. I had no idea. People have been reacting, sharing, commenting, and it honestly blew me away. I never expected any of this. I thought I'd just put my thoughts out there and maybe a few strangers would scroll past. I didn't think anyone would actually care about my messy family or my complicated feelings. But clearly, people do care. And that means the world to me. Before I wrap this up, I want to clear up something I've seen people ask or assume. Some folks were saying that maybe my adoptive siblings didn't know I was their biological half-aunt. That their parents kept it from them. But that's not true. They knew from day one. My adoptive parents told all the kids up front who I was, what my connection to them was, before I even moved in. They said they'd only go through with adoption if the kids were okay with it. So no, I wasn't some surprise secret relative. As for Bryce, I truly believe he's been lying since day one. I think he never wanted me there. Maybe he wanted to mess with me. Maybe it made him feel powerful to bully someone he thought didn't belong. And now, after everything, I finally feel strong enough to say that out loud. Bryce was a bully. Period. And I don't have to carry his words like scars anymore. My biological half-brother never met our father. His mother, who had him when she was still a teenager, was deep into addiction and eventually lost custody because she was drinking, using, and neglecting him. Our father wasn't any better. He was a violent addict who abused both me and my mother for years. When I was just 15, I watched my mom take her own life right in front of me. That trauma alone should have been enough for one lifetime, but it didn't stop there. My father, who was already terminal with stage 4 cancer, still had custody of me. After that, I was placed in the care of DCFS and shuffled into the foster system. I spent nearly 3 years in foster care before my half-brother and his wife took me in and eventually adopted me. My father died 4 days after my 17th birthday. I've seen people online asking, why did she keep going back? And honestly, it's not complicated. I've been in therapy long enough now to know it boils down to abandonment issues. I don't have many close friends. I've never had a strong support system. Deep down, I just kept hoping that if I stuck it out, if I was patient, maybe, just maybe, the family I was adopted into would start treating me like one of their own. It sounds naive now, I know. But back then, it felt like my only shot at having something close to normal. Now I see that it was never going to change. These people are who they are, and no amount of effort from me was ever going to shift that. Some folks keep suggesting I should pull the I'm the aunt card when it comes to my adoptive siblings' kids, especially with how Bryce has treated me. But I've never wanted that kind of distance. I didn't want to be treated like an aunt. I wanted siblings. I was raised alongside them. I was just a teenager, trying to be part of something that felt like family. Even now, despite everything, it still makes me happy when my younger siblings call me sis or big sister. Hearing that from them brings a kind of peace. And my oldest adoptive sibling? He still calls me his sister, too. I love calling them my brothers and sisters, big, little, it doesn't matter. That's the bond one wanted, and it's one I still cherish. If that bothers anyone, I won't apologize. Because they were never the problem. The ones who truly failed me were my half-brother, his wife, Bryce, and his older sister. The rest of the kids? They never treated me like anything other than family. Now, onto the wedding update. I did end up going. And honestly, the ceremony was beautiful. They sat me at a table with some family friends, but one of my little brothers and his girlfriend swapped the name cards so they could sit next to me. That meant more than I can explain. Just that simple act made me feel seen. The whole thing was stunning and expensive, high-end event. I spent the evening enjoying the food, chatting with people, and even hit the dance floor with my little brother's girlfriend. It was one of the few moments I let myself have fun without carrying the weight of everything. I ignored my older sister most of the night. Couldn't bring myself to pretend we were okay. Right after the ceremony, Bryce peeled off and disappeared for a bit. When he came back, he looked annoyed, ripped off his tie, and walked straight to his wife. And surprise, she didn't have either of the kids with her. No Caleb, no Olivia. Not trying to be catty here, but she showed up wearing this ridiculous cactus-themed dress, while the rest of us were in suits and gowns. Everyone had been told ahead of time to dress formally. This wasn't a backyard wedding. It was top-tier fancy. She just didn't seem to care. Now, I wish I could tell you something juicy happened next. That I snapped, flipped tables, cursed out Bryce in front of the cake, the whole 9 yards. But I didn't. What happened was kind of worse. Bryce and his wife just walked up to the bride and groom and said, "We should probably head back. The kids are with her mom now, and we want to play it safe." And then they left. Just like that. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't congratulate anyone. Didn't stay for the reception. Nothing. They'd already shown up late, about 20 minutes before the ceremony started. And then they dipped out barely an hour in. Everyone in the dining hall was just stunned. For a solid hour, no one knew what to say. I had mixed feelings. On one hand, it was kind of a relief not to have Bryce around to ruin the rest of the night. On the other, it just sucked. His selfishness had once again cast a shadow over something that wasn't about him. Still, I didn't let it ruin everything. I danced, drank, laughed, and made memories with people who did care to include me. Since then, things with my half-brother, my mom, and my sister have drifted even further apart. My sister has made a few light attempts to reconnect, mostly just memes or short texts. I'm still struggling with the fact that she outed my relationship to our parents. I don't know if I'll ever truly forgive her for that. Some wounds don't close up that easy. My half-brother has made it clear that he's still incredibly uncomfortable with who I am. We can't even have a simple conversation without him turning it into some political rant. Like, I'll ask, "Seen any good shows lately?" and suddenly he's complaining about woke media or gay characters in TV. It's exhausting. I've all but blocked him at this point. My mom, she's kind of just there. She still tries to talk to me, but when she does, it's like looking into a void. You know when someone stares at you like they're not really present? Like they've already erased you in their mind? That's what it's like with her. She checks in, asks about what I'm doing, but it's surface level. I've grown distant. Her energy, the way she makes me feel, the way she's handled things, it's like poison I'm slowly learning to stop sipping. As for Bryce and his wife? Radio silence. They haven't reached out, and honestly, I don't care. I haven't seen Caleb since the night I babysat him. I've never met Olivia. And, truthfully, I don't feel bad about that. I'm not part of their family, and I've stopped trying to be. To everyone who's followed along with my story, I want to say thank you. Truly. In a strange, bittersweet way, this is probably my last update. Or at least, I hope it is. I've started therapy. I'm trying to live the best life I can now. I don't know if I'll ever be completely free from the weight this family has placed on me, but I'm working on it. My therapist says healing might take years, and I believe her. All I can do now is move forward. Bit by bit. Day by day. And maybe one day, I'll finally feel at peace with all of this. Until then, thank you for walking this road with me. I might post another update in a few months, maybe once family photo season rolls around. But until then, I'm just trying to keep moving forward, building a life that isn't constantly disrupted by their voices in my head or their drama in my inbox. Edit. Just to put this out there, I barely speak to any of them anymore, maybe 2 or 3 times a month at most. I'm actively working with my therapist on cutting ties, and I'm doing it at my pace. So, if anyone feels the need to comment about why I haven't gone no contact yet, or why I'm still connected at all, save it. This entire chapter of my life has been filled with trauma, and I'm healing under the care of a professional. For the sake of my mental and physical well-being, I need to go slow, and I'm okay with that. Thank you for understanding. 5th update, 9 months, 2 weeks later. Hey everyone. I'll be honest, this update's not super dramatic. I mostly just wanted to check in and share how things have been going. I haven't really touched this account for a while. Life's been quiet, which I guess is a good thing. Not a lot has changed, other than the fact that I've finally cut off almost my entire family. And honestly, that's brought me more peace than I can describe. The only person I still occasionally speak to is my biological brother's wife. We exchange a text maybe once a month. For some reason, that relationship has been the hardest to let go of. There's a weird emotional thread there I haven't quite untangled yet. But the real turning point? The thing that finally pushed me to finish cutting people off? It was ridiculous, honestly. My older sister, the one who used to show up at my place uninvited, somehow discovered that I have pronouns listed in my Instagram bio. Which, by the way, have been there for years. She spiraled. Like, truly spiraled. I started getting rapid-fire texts from her, full of homophobic, religious nonsense. She told me I was demonic. Said I was possessed by the devil. All because I had he/they/she in a bio. It was disturbing. It felt like she was having some sort of religious breakdown. She kept using the word demon. She even dragged my friends into it, friends she's never even met. So I showed them the texts. They were just as shocked as I was and ended up blocking her across all social platforms for their own peace of mind. She blamed me for her issues, claiming that I should never have reached out to her dad and inserted myself into their family. Like my entire existence was some moral failure that disrupted her carefully curated version of reality. The messages just kept coming, paragraph after paragraph of aggressive religious rants for 3 straight hours. That's when I blocked her. I also cut off anyone connected to her, including my sister-in-law, the one whose wedding I went to. After that, I locked down every one of my social media accounts and made everything private. It's been almost 4 months since I've heard a peep from her. And you know what? It's been peaceful, blissfully quiet. No guilt, no second guessing, no regrets. As for everyone else, I still FaceTime with my younger brother sometimes. But I've cut ties with my older brother and his wife, too. I came across some pretty gross posts on their social media, things I don't want to be around, let alone support. That was the final straw for me. Bryce and his wife? I honestly can't even remember the last time I heard from them. I haven't seen their kids, Caleb or Olivia, since the wedding, if you can even call their 30-minute appearance at the wedding attending. And truthfully, I don't care. I've moved far away from all of them. To a whole new county. My girlfriend and I were hoping to move out of state, but financially we're not quite there yet. Still, just putting this distance between us and the chaos has made a huge difference. I'm continuing therapy online now and making slow but steady progress. Healing hasn't been easy, but it's happening and I'm proud of that. This might not be the kind of update people were waiting for, but it's the truth. And for the first time in a long time, I can say this. I'm genuinely happy. I'm building a new life. A quiet one, a strong one. One filled with love, not manipulation, not control. My girlfriend, she doesn't know about this account or the posts I've made here. She's never seen them. But if you're wondering how we're doing, we're amazing. We've talked about our future a lot lately, and I'm planning to propose. Hopefully sometime next year, once we're settled in our new place, somewhere far from all this mess. I think she'll say yes. I want that life with her. More than anything. So, to everyone who's followed this story, who's left kind words, shared advice, offered compassion, I can't thank you enough. You've helped me more than you know. Maybe I'll check back in next year. And maybe, when I do, I'll be writing with the biggest smile on my face, telling you all that she said yes. Until then, thank you for being here.